Folks, today on Crime and Entertainment, we have a crazy tale. This tale is so crazy, in fact, there's been countless books, TV shows, and even a Hollywood movie made about this story. It stars Zach Galifianakis and Jason Sudeikis. This individual stole over $17 million in 1997 from the Loomis Fargo in Charlotte, North Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. David Ghantt.
It's good to be here, man. Good to see you.
Well, we're glad to have you here on Crime and Entertainment. We wanted to get the story straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. We were going to do a episode recapping everything, but you know what? I figured I'd rather get the story straight from you here, so that's what we're going to do. Now, I'm pretty familiar with the North Carolina area. I spent a lot of time up there going to Panther games and whatnot. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about what part of the area that you grew up in?
I grew up in Gastonia, North Carolina, the gas house. And pretty typical time growing up, hunting, fishing. And we went to church on Sunday, Sunday afternoon, Tony's ice cream, Arlo's barbecue, typical growing up in that area. I worked in a cotton mill for a while. Eventually went in the military.
All right. And what branch did you serve at?
U.S. Army.
Well, we certainly appreciate your service. That was something I was looking into when I was in high school, and then I found out I had a little heart condition, so that kind of put an axe on those plans. So I went into the steel industry. I'm a welder, so I stay pretty hot every day of the week. Now, a little bit later on, you actually got married. Is that right?
Yeah, I got married right after I got out of the military.
Okay. Now, about what time frame did you get your job at Loomis Fargo?
Let's see, that would have been late in 94, early 95.
Okay. Now, what exactly was your job there?
I started off as a driver for Wells Fargo, and I guess you could say by attrition, I survived long enough to become what they call a messenger, and then moved up to vault superintendent.
Okay, now is there a difference between Wells Fargo and Loomis Fargo? I've heard it called both things. I mean,
well, the original armored car company was Wells Fargo, and then they got bought out and became Loomis Fargo.
Okay, so that cleared that up. Sometimes I would hear it called Wells Fargo, and then sometimes when I was researching your case, it would just say Loomis Fargo High. So I'm glad we cleared that up there. Now, these guys, from what I understand, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, they were kind of working you to death here, right? Like 80-hour weeks and shit like that.
Yeah, we were really short-handed, and as a vault superintendent, I was expected to fill in the gaps. And there were times when we were working 7 days a week. I went like almost 3 months straight. I didn't get a day off.
Wow.
And about 12, 14-hour days, and it puts a strain on you.
Yeah, no doubt, man. At 6 days a week, I need a couple of days to recuperate myself. So I imagine working that many days straight, that had to put a strain on you for sure. So, So you're working there. At what point did you meet Kelly Campbell? When did she become a part of this story?
She was hired probably a few days after I was, and we were drivers together for a while. And then as we both kind of moved up, we became friends, and just kind of started from there. It was real benign at first.
Okay. Now, a little bit of something kind of started there, a little bit of attraction for you two. Is that kind of how it played out, or?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, you spend that much time with somebody, I guess it's a natural progression.
Right. Yeah. You talk, you kind of bounce feelings off each other and things like that.
Yeah.
Now, she was married too, right? At this time, both you guys are married?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, but she doesn't stay there very long. Is that right?
No, she quit, got fired. I don't even remember anymore.
Okay. But while you were working there, she never brought up the idea of trying to take down the vault. That was never something that got brought up as while she was employed with you?
Oh, well, I'll be honest. It was something that we all joked about.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's probably natural, I'm sure.
You're around so much damn money. It's a running joke amongst everybody that works there.
Yeah.
So,
But as far as serious conversations, it never really got serious of, hey, let's do this while she was working there.
no, it never did.
Okay. But the man that put this kind of idea in her head and tried to start steamrolling this plan forward, that was Steve Chambers. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was
And
Steve.
now, did you know him at all, or you didn't know him?
No, I didn't meet him until after it was all over with.
Okay. So how does she approach you about putting this plan in motion? Like, what did she reach out? Because you guys hadn't worked together. Did y'all stay in contact? Did she just reach out? Did you happen to bump into her? How did that play out?
Oh, we stayed in contact. One day, she sent me, this was back in the days of the pager. She sent me a pager number, and I called her. We chit chatted. She said, I want to talk to you face to face. Sorry about my camera shaking around. She said, I want to talk to you face to face. I got something serious I want to talk to you about. I'm like, all right, I didn't think nothing of it. So a few days went by, and we met in this little town between Charlotte and Gastonia called McAdenville. And we went, we stopped at a little burger joint, and we just talked.
And she kind of,
And yeah, that's where she asked me. She said, how if you were going to rob Fargo, how would you go about it? She said theoretically back then. And I said, well, the easiest thing to do would be on the weekend. It's going to be fewer people, more money, less hassle, give you an opportunity to get the hell out of Dodge.
mm-hmm.
And we didn't talk again for a while. She kind of, I guess she kind of shelved the idea. Went back to talk to Steve, and it was a while before she mentioned it again, and that's kind of convoluted story, but
Okay.
I eventually made up my mind that that's what I was going to do, and I started doing some research for myself. I kind of took a study on the FBI and on the local police force and how they approached crimes, and kind of put together a plan in my head. Where did I want to go? What did I want to do? And I had to make a serious decision about whether I really thought I could carry it off.
Mm-hmm.
Not just get away with it, but have the guts to do it.
Right. Because I mean, stealing the money is one thing, getting away with it and keeping the money is an entirely different thing, as I'm sure you know. So you done some studying, you done some prep work, and you decided you're going to go ahead and pull this caper. And you said you done that on October 4th.
Yeah.
Now, was that a Friday?
That was Saturday.
Oh, Saturday. Okay. Yeah, that's right. You said the weekend. Okay. Now you actually had a trainee working with you when you pulled this off, right?
Yeah. And like a good trainee, I told him, hey man, I got this from here. You can go ahead and go on a door. We're good. And like a good trainee, he followed suit. I mean, it'd been a long day for him. I don't blame him. I'd have left too. And so I kind of followed him out the door. And as soon as I saw his headlights going around the corner, I turned around and went right back in.
All right. So now, to load up all this money, did you use a van or use one of their vans?
Yeah, I used one of their vans. And that day, what I had done, I picked a van that had a full tank of fuel. And I went ahead and I jimmied the locks so that I could get in with just the key. I wouldn't have to rely on the electric locks, and just made sure it was check the oil, everything, made sure it was in good working order, and brought it inside.
All right. Now, Now, people throw this term around a good bit. They say a ton of cash. But in this case, we are talking a ton of cash. We're actually talking more than a ton of cash because from reports I've read, all this money weighed well over 2,000 pounds. So that had to take you a little bit to load that stuff in that van.
Yeah, it did. Imagine, if you will, a pile of cash that's about 3.5 foot tall, about 9 foot long. It did weigh over a ton, literally. And it took quite a while to load it.
Wow. How long would you say if you had to take a guess? Couple hours or
Uh, I think it was about 2 hours.
2 hours? All right.
Yeah.
And now to help cover the tracks, you actually took some videotapes from the facility there, right?
Yeah, one of the things I found in my uh, reconnaissance of Fargo, I found where they kept the videotapes. What I didn't know is there was a third one hidden in the roof, in the ceiling,
Right.
in the drop ceiling. I didn't know that existed. So I grabbed the two that I knew about.
Okay. Now, and that's something I got to ask you about here because on the movie, when Zach Galifianakis is doing this, and I've heard that it's pretty true, on your way out, I don't know if it's your last load to the van or whatever, you kind of give a little two-step jump there, a little two-stepperoo heading out the door. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we were talking, Zach and I were talking, and I told him, I said something that I usually leave out of the interviews because these days it's kind of embarrassing, but on my way out the door, I did a little victory dance on my way out, and he took and he went a little overboard with it, but um, he loved it.
Oh, well, that's just classic right there. You're doing a little dance on out the door there. I like it. Now, now I know some people might say, well, why take it all? Just take a little bit. It might, take them longer to notice. But am I correct? And from things that I've heard, is it doesn't really matter the amount that you take because the act of taking it is going to kind of hold the same consequence because it's not like you're doing a strong arm robbery with a pistol. You're committing robbery. It's not,
Yeah,
violent or, anything of that nature. So it doesn't really matter if you steal one stack or the whole stack. The consequences is kind of going to be the same, right?
yeah, it doesn't matter. As far as the federal government's concerned, if I'd have known this beforehand, I might have stopped a little short. Up to about $10 million, the time is the same.
Okay.
Once you get past $10 million, it doesn't really change it that much though.
Okay.
So,
Well,
but the fact that there was no gun involved, no violence, no implied violence, makes a huge difference.
oh yeah, yeah. That drastically changes things when it comes to, later on down the road, sentencing and things like that.
Yeah.
So you got us Wells Fargo van or Loomis Fargo van. It's loaded to the brim, I'm guessing with cash.
Yes.
Now when you were going to the rendezvous, did you run up on somebody you knew? Did you pass a cop? Wasn't there something that kind of happened on the way there?
Yeah. About gave me a freaking heart attack too.
I bet.
We were going from Wells Fargo to the meeting place, and I didn't know it, but the alarm company had asked the Charlotte police to drive by and check on Fargo, and I'm at a light, and uh, I see this Mecklenburg cop turn around.
Oh boy.
Man, about gave me a freaking heart attack, and I guess he looked, I waved, he kept going. I was like, oh my word. But yeah, I had a mild encounter with the Charlotte Mecklenburg police. I actually met that cop later that was working that night.
Really? So, and that would have probably drawn some attention because it wasn't scheduled for you guys to be leaving or doing any sort of a run at that point, right?
Yeah, it was kind of odd. Very, very odd to be out that late.
I bet you definitely tensed up a little bit there when you seen that cop for sure.
Yeah, it was pretty scary.
I bet. So you're going to the rendezvous. You get there. Were you were aware that you were going to be leaving the money there before you kind of made your
Yeah,
getaway, so to speak?
yeah, that was part of the plan.
Okay, now you were fine with that because now I got to tell you, maybe it's just me, but there's no way in hell I'm trusting $17 million with somebody I don't know. I don't like trusting $20 with people I do know. So
In hindsight, you're right. But I realized that getting that huge pile of money out of the country would be difficult, and
yes,
I wouldn't be able to carry it by myself. And to me, back then, very naive of me, I admit. To me, it was just a business deal. It's kind of like I like pie, you like pie. Together, we'll all have pie. As long as I get my piece of pie, I don't care. You
right,
can eat the rest of the pie. I don't care. As long as I get my slice of pie, I'm happy. So it's just a business deal with me.
okay,
And so we met, and this one leads to one of the funny parts of the whole thing. I had taken all the keys from Wells Fargo, all their truck keys, all the keys to the security doors, every key in the place. And I put them in a box between the two front seats of the van. When I got out, I don't even remember who it was now, handed him the keys. I said, "This is the key to the van. Do not lose it." Handed it to him. Come to find out that later they moved the van and he just dropped those keys right into the box with like 400 or 500 keys in it, not realizing that that van's an armored vehicle. All the doors lock automatic.
right,
It's not like a regular car. The doors lock no matter what. But you need the key to get in.
right.
And luckily, um, when I jimmied the rear door, I must have did too good a job. But Kelly eventually told him, "Why don't you idiots try the back door?" And they said they opened the back doors and money just fell out onto the ground because they had basically locked themselves out.
Wow. Yeah. And I mean, you would think on a normal car, hey, just break a window, but you're talking about an armored vehicle here. So that's probably not going to be something very feasible.
No, it's not.